My brother hit someone on the basketball court and asked me to deliver an apology letter. Out of sheer curiosity, I couldn't resist opening the envelope and suddenly saw the barrage comments. LOL. So many people on the court. And he specifically targets the female lead. This guy is totally doing it on purpose. Right. Does he really think this will get her attention? Can these siblings have some shame? One deliberately hurts people on the court. The other keeps pestering the male lead non-stop. Are they addicted to being roadblocks in our main couple's love story? It's really annoying to watch. Can't these two siblings just calm down and stop interfering with the main couple's relationship? It's fine, hahaha. Both siblings are simps. The guy is even more of a coward who's been secretly in love the whole time, hahaha. Just treat it as entertainment. What? I can accept being called a simp. But my brother, a 6 feet 2 inches, hunk with abs, basketball skills, charm, a sunny personality, emotional intelligence, and a great voice. He's also a simp, and he's into unrequited love. I'm dying of laughter. Overnight, I changed the apology letter into a love letter and sent it to the female lead. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. Molly returned from the office. I've been waiting in the hallway for almost 10 minutes. The scorching sunlight fell on the ends of her hair, and her faded school uniform was buttoned up neatly to the top. Her skin was pale, her eyes rimmed with red, making her look weak and easy to bully. And indeed, that was the case. She held a competition test paper in her hand. Every single problem was marked with a full set of correct ticks. Yet, a red pen had been used to note a more concise solution beside them. It wasn't hard to guess. He must have been hurt by someone's harsh words. I narrowed my eyes and straightened up. The girls behind me followed closely, completely blocking her path. So you're Molly. I crossed my arms and looked at her with a sharp gaze. Many people in the hallway turned to look curiously, murmuring among themselves. What's going on? How did Molly manage to offend that young lady? Someone lazily remarked. Who knows? Probably because she's been spending all her time with Ryan working on the math competition these days. And that young lady isn't too happy about it. No wonder. Judging by the situation, she's probably about to get a warning. Whispers continued to buzz all around. Molly clutched the hem of her clothes tightly. When she raised her head, her moist, deer-like eyes trembled slightly. Though clearly nervous, she tried her best to keep her tone steady. Is there something you need? At this moment, the barrage was filled with criticism. First she pestered the male lead. Now she's bullying the female lead. This makes me so mad. Does she really think the male lead would fall for her like this? Is she about to cause trouble again? I'm a little scared. Our precious female lead better not get bullied. Don't worry. If she dares to lay a finger on the female lead, the male lead will be there in seconds to warn her off. But it seems like the male and female leads haven't developed feelings for each other yet. There will still be subconscious actions. After all, our male and female leads are a match made in heaven. Out of so many bullet comments, I only caught 2 words. Bullying. Do I look like I'm here to bully? Molly maintained her expression, watching us without a trace of emotion. A slight tightening of the fingers could feel every crease in the exam paper. As if a reminder, attempting to touch what doesn't belong to you is bound to bring trouble. Just as she was wondering what I would say to challenge her, a rich floral fragrance suddenly wafted through the air. A love letter abruptly appeared right before her eyes. Well, you see, my brother has a crush on you, but he was too shy. So he asked me to deliver this love letter to you. The pink envelope was neatly squared, bearing a postmark, with delicate dried flowers adorning its sealed edge. Molly was momentarily stunned. Such an exquisite letter seemed utterly disconnected from her plain attire. Yet the recipient's name was clearly written as hers. Just striving for the scholarship to alleviate her poverty had already consumed all her energy, because she had never imagined such a scenario. So now she had no idea how to react. The belated heartbeat thundered like a drum, amidst the surrounding cheers. It nearly overwhelmed her. Eyes red. Earlobes red. Cheeks even redder. So adorable. She deserves to be with a handsome guy like my brother. I placed the envelope into her palm with a smile. The warm love letter, heated by the sunlight, made her fingertips curl slightly from the warmth. The teasing around them grew even louder. Her face flushed red to the tips of her ears as she stammered. Is that the one from the basketball court the other day? She seemed hesitant to confirm. Yeah, the one who accidentally hit you the other day. Suddenly, a bold and vibrant red intruded into what had been a dull memory. The boy was wearing a red jersey, his sharp eyebrows and eyes contrasting with the moment he crouched down, awkwardly apologizing to her and carefully asking if she was okay. Unlike Ryan's aloof and indifferent demeanor, he still carried the scorching heat of the afternoon sun, the thin muscles on his arms glistening with sweat, his youthful, vibrant energy almost enveloping her. Yet at this very moment, her attention, however, was drawn to those sneakers. The expensive limited edition sneakers silently delineated the divide between their social classes. He was like Ryan, yet not the same. Despite the urgency of the competition, he found another teammate to escort her to the infirmary and even handed her his card, saying it was to cover the medical expenses. At the moment the young man turned around, she saw the name printed on the back of the jersey. Philip. A name that, just by uttering it, made one feel spirited and triumphant. Remember now. My brother. Class 8 of grade 12. Philip. I winked at her. She slowly clenched the love letter, her voice soft and slightly trembling from nervousness. Yeah, he really likes you. But he's a coward. The morning sun was blazing and radiant. Her eyelashes fluttered slightly, unable to control her thoughts. Such a dazzling young man that one hardly dared to look at him for long. Could he actually be a coward? Because of this matter, I've been getting scolded nonstop in the bullet comments for days. You just had to mess with the main couple's relationship, didn't you? So disgusting. Does she really think the female lead would fall for her brother? Talk about being delusional. LOL. Her brother is just the classic second male lead material. Sure, the male lead might seem cold, but the female lead totally digs his cold outside, warm inside vibe. Yeah, for someone as insecure and sensitive as the female lead, silent companionship is more her style. With such contrasting personalities, being together would only feel awkward. Accepting the love letter was just to avoid making the situation more uncomfortable. How could she possibly have genuine feelings for her brother? Is that really the case? When I walked in with my exam supplies, I happened to see Molly. Her cheeks flushed pink, her mind somewhat distracted. Her wandering gaze kept drifting toward the young man in the front left. That's my brother. Philip. My eyes followed, then suddenly froze. Her gaze fixed on the piece of chocolate still lying in Philip's palm. What's this? Didn't give it away. Or was it rejected? Because I had checked the monthly exam seating chart in advance, I found out Molly was also in our exam room. I immediately shared this news with Philip. Philip casually. Ed. Showing little reaction except for a faint redness at the tips of his ears. I noticed something was off and asked, "Did you already know?" A friend told me. They also know you have a crush on Molly. That shouldn't be. When did you become so obvious about it? Catching Philip's gloomy gaze. I remember. Oh. Seems like I was too obvious when I went to deliver the letter that day. The very same day. He found out from a friend that I had changed the love letter into an apology letter. But he didn't deny it, reasoning that it would embarrass the girl. I saw right through him. He clearly liked her. So, I deliberately took out the chocolates a friend had brought me from abroad and asked him to give them to Molly the next day. The usually composed and steady young man suddenly revealed a rare hint of awkwardness. He hesitated and asked me, "Would it be too abrupt?" I was puzzled. Don't you give gifts when pursuing a girl? Chasing a girl means giving her flowers, bags, and gifts. Just talking without spending money isn't called pursuing. It's called harassment. I spoke with righteous indignation. Philip fully agreed. I just never expected that the first time I gave a gift to a girl, it would be mercilessly rejected. I couldn't help but glance twice at Philip. He was resting his head on one hand, eyelids drooping. A faint blush tinged his pale, cool complexion, as if deep in thought, or perhaps simply lost in a daze. And the piece of chocolate between his long fingers had been thoroughly mangled. The barrage was filled with mockery. LMAO. I told you the female lead wouldn't be interested in a side character. Serves him right for getting brutally rejected. Turns out he's the clown himself. Ha 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 ha. Just another pair of simps for the main couple. Might as well enjoy the circus. Simp. Ha ha ha. I actually feel a bit sorry for ourselves now. With a wooden expression, I walked past Ryan without stopping. Instead, I continued forward, moving past him. The young man, who had been expressionless, blinked his eyelids. A rare occurrence. Yes, not only Molly and my brother, but even Ryan is in the same exam hall as us. Indeed, the existence of supporting characters is merely to embellish the protagonist's emotions. My brother is already miserable enough. I can't afford to lose face anymore. The seating arrangement for the monthly exam wasn't strict. I easily swapped seats with the boy in front of me. I ended up sitting next to Molly. She suddenly snapped back to reality, the stray hairs by her ear falling down to obscure those slightly flustered eyes. The pen placed on the edge of the table was knocked off by an elbow and rolled to my feet. The emblem on the pen cap wasn't clear. Only the letter L was discernible. The pen body was also heavily worn, revealing the base color beneath the plating. I was just about to bend down to help her pick it up, but she had already left her seat, reached out to retrieve the pen, and clutched it tightly in her palm. Thank you. She noticed my kindness and whispered a quick thank you to me. I let go of my usual reserved demeanor a little and gave her a friendly smile. You're welcome. Can such a pen still be used for writing answers? I couldn't help but glance at her. After the test papers were handed out, she took out a gel pen from her pencil case again and neatly wrote her name. And that mottled lacquer fountain pen lay quietly at the edge of the desk. More like a form of companionship. My thoughts wander. Maybe she refused because she doesn't like chocolate. Philip. Next time, have Philip bring her school supplies. Surely she can't refuse that. The cicadas chirping outside the window harmonized with the rustling sound of students writing answers in the classroom. I didn't know how to write. So I twirled my pen, rested my chin on my hand, and openly observed her. She wrote slowly, with great focus, bending slightly. She wrote stroke by stroke, unhurried and composed. I heard she was the first in her hometown to get admitted to high school, breaking free from a family that favored sons over daughters. She persevered through everyone's doubts and pressures to reach where she is now, like a small white flower pushing through the cracks of a steep cliff. Beneath her seemingly delicate appearance lies a stubborn and unyielding soul. How could someone who craves love and approval so much fall for Ryan, who's cold to the point of being almost cruel? I can't understand it. Perhaps my gaze was too intense. She tilted her head slightly to look at me. When she noticed I'd left the last multiple-choice question blank, she pressed her lips together and secretly gave me a C sign with her fingers. My eyes instantly lit up. Way more generous than a stingy guy like Ryan. Such a soft-hearted, kind, gentle, and generous girl is exactly the type my brother should date. What's wrong with being a simp? I want to be her little simp too. Ryan handed in his exam paper half an hour early as usual. A chilly aura passed by from the side. Those dark, deep eyes lifted slightly, his gaze lingering for a moment on my already completed test paper. At that moment, I was sprawled across the desk, idly drawing circles on a scrap of draft paper, clearly waiting for someone. But even as he handed in his exam and was about to leave the classroom, not a single sound of a chair being dragged back came from behind him. The invigilator looked at the young man who had left and returned, asking in surprise, "What's wrong?" "Forgot my pen," he said calmly. The straight and neat trouser legs passed by me for the second time, and I was still drawing circles. Not even a hint of looking up. The attention that should have been spent on Ryan is now being spent on Molly. I drew circles while feeling troubled. What excuse should I use to get Molly and my brother to have a meal together? In the last 5 minutes, Molly stood up to hand in her paper. Philip and I closed our pens in perfect sync, shoulder to shoulder, following her out of the classroom. "Why didn't you go find Ryan today?" he asked. I pouted. "Don't feel like seeing him." We appeared to be following the crowd, but in reality, we were tailing her all the way to the cafeteria. After getting our food, we both took seats across from her. Molly looked up just in time to see 2 strikingly similar faces staring intently at her. I deliberately ignored the many empty seats around us and blinked at her. "The cafeteria's too crowded. Mind if we sit here?" She lowered her head and whispered softly. "And no, it's fine. You can sit." Philip and I rarely eat at the first-floor cafeteria. Catching sight of the greens on her plate, my mouth moved faster than my thoughts. "Why aren't you eating any meat? This is so lacking in nutrition." As I spoke, I picked up a piece of braised pork, but the moment it touched my tongue, I couldn't help gagging. It's disgusting." Molly paused slightly and hesitantly asked, "Is it because it's gone bad?" But the bright color and the rich aroma didn't quite seem to suggest so. "It's fine. She's just picky with food," Philip apologetically explained to her, then handed me a tissue to wipe my mouth. Oh, okay." Molly awkwardly averted her gaze and was about to mention she had an unopened bottle of water in her bag when she saw me stand up. "I'll go buy some milk to rinse my mouth. You all take your time eating." The slender hand had just touched the zipper of the backpack when it awkwardly withdrew again. Only 2 people remained at the dining table. The atmosphere seemed to suddenly become tense. Molly buried her head even lower, keeping her gaze fixed on her own plate as she ate bite by bite. Suddenly, she heard the young man across from her tentatively speak up. "Have you been trying to lose weight lately?" Her shabbiness suddenly had a fitting excuse. Molly's hand paused briefly as she responded with an almost inaudible, Academic pressure is heavy these days, but you still need to eat well." Philip lowered his gaze to look at her, his voice slow and deep. "She probably won't be coming back. So could you help finish the meat? Don't let it go to waste." Before she could voice her refusal, he had already picked up the plate and transferred all the meat to hers. The person in front of her remained silent for a long time. Philip lifted his eyelids, meeting those moist, red and deer-like eyes. She gazed steadily at him, her eyes swirling with unreadable emotions, only to be forcibly concealed the next moment beneath a moist and tender gaze. Such a look made Philip feel inexplicably familiar. So familiar it ached his heart. It was heartbreaking. Looking at him, she suddenly curved into a smile, softly, clearly, and firmly saying to him, "Thank you, Philip." After the monthly exams ended, I was completely focused on Molly, so I didn't go looking for Ryan for many days in a row. Unexpectedly, he came looking for me himself. I reluctantly walked out of the classroom. "What do you want?" "Test paper." Between his cold, pale fingers was my math exam, the score utterly dismal. He stood with an aloof posture, not even bothering to lower his gaze. I couldn't be bothered to ask more, so I took the test paper and turned to leave. Suddenly, another force tugged at the other end of the paper. He didn't let go. The young man suddenly spoke up. "The last question's answer is D." I turned around and gave him a puzzled look. "The papers have already been graded. Why are you telling me this?" Seeing my puzzled expression, he added coldly, "It's not C." Just then, someone passed by behind us. His gaze swept lightly as he spoke in a neutral tone. A problem solvable by observing recursion. Yet someone insists on calculating functions for 10 minutes. Not sure if it's lack of ability or excess energy. What is he talking about? This is utterly baffling. I don't want to engage. When I turned my head again, all I could catch in my peripheral vision was the slender and delicate silhouette of a girl at the stairway corner. I didn't even have time to guess. My wrist was suddenly grabbed by someone behind me. His slightly cool palm was as cold as his demeanor. His knuckles felt rough, and the grip was strong. I turned back in disbelief. The person who usually hates physical contact the most is now taking the initiative to hold my hand. Wait for me after school. His Adam's apple bobbed repeatedly, hesitating for a long time before he finally managed to utter this rather awkward sentence. It seems ever since Molly appeared, I haven't gone to see him since school ended. But back when I used to wait for him to walk together, he clearly found it annoying. I stared at his face, scrutinizing every inch, until he became visibly uncomfortable. Is there something on my face? He couldn't help but speak up. This isn't the Ryan I know. With a serious expression, I stood on tiptoe and pinched his chin. Whoever you are, please get off Ryan's body. The next day when I went to see Molly, she seemed somewhat embarrassed, clenched her pen tightly, and softly apologized to me for choosing the wrong answer. I instantly realized who Ryan's sarcastic remarks that day were directed at. That bastard. How can he be so malicious? Just because he gets good grades. He thinks he's so great. What a show-off. I clenched my fists angrily, about to get up and confront him, but she grabbed my hand and stopped me. It's not about others. It's my own issue. Watching her blame herself, a pang of bitterness welled up in my heart. Molly, look at me. I sat back down and took her hand. You're already amazing. You're in the top 3 of your grade. Ryan is just a jerk. Not a single punctuation mark of what he says is believable. In my eyes, you're better than 100 Ryan-s combined. I'll go scold him for you tomorrow. He's simply unreasonable. Unreasonable. Hypocritical. Two-faced. And shameless. I wish him to come in last place in the competition. I was filled with righteous indignation and let out a string of words. Molly raised her hand guiltily to remind me. It's a team competition. Oh. Seems like Molly is in it too. Seeing my expression of wanting to make amends, she suddenly pursed her lips and smiled. The atmosphere seemed just right. Seizing the moment, I extended the invitation. Hey, my brother has a basketball game on Friday afternoon. Would you like to come watch? Her earlobes turned slightly red. I might be busy, preparing for a competition. She shook her head, her fingers clutching the hem of her clothes with some difficulty. Might be going back to my hometown, but my brother is super cool at basketball. Even just for 2 minutes. He really hopes you'll come. I pleaded with her pitifully, softening my voice. She couldn't resist and finally agreed. I just didn't expect Ryan to come play basketball too. For 3 years, I've never seen Ryan play basketball. The barrage is about to die from excitement. Oh my God. I'm so excited. The unattainable flower actually came down to play in person. Is it because he knew the female lead was coming to watch the game today? Of course. Didn't you see the female lead staring at the male lead the whole time? Her eyes never left him. What a perfect match. If only those 2 siblings weren't here. Yeah. I wonder who her brother is showing off to on the court like a peacock spreading its tail. Hope he doesn't block the eye contact between our main couple. I'm about to lose it. I leaned my face close to Molly and asked her, "What are you looking at?" She was startled by me. I'll look at the score. Following her gaze, I looked over and it was right in Ryan's direction. So I manually adjusted her head, pointing at the young man in the red jersey, and commanded domineeringly, "Look at my brother." Her face turned slightly red. Oh, okay. Ryan is undoubtedly handsome, but that's all there is to him. When it comes to basketball skills, my brother is the real deal. My brother naturally has striking bone structure, with a face that instantly signals he's a looker. Add to that the occasional glimpse of his abdominal muscle contours when he jumps, his pinpoint three-pointers, and the occasional slam dunk. Every move he made could elicit screams. During the halftime break, many girls went up to give him water. I handed the mineral water I had prepared earlier to Molly and asked her to go up as well. She clenched the hem of her clothes, shaking her head like a rattledrum, refusing to take a single step. You should go instead. Why? Look. He didn't accept their water. He's just waiting for you. That's exactly the reason. Her uneasy gaze kept drifting toward the rejected girls. Afraid of the same rejection. And afraid of those mocking stares. And as luck would have it, Philip stopped again to exchange a few words with a girl wearing a cheerleader uniform. The bottle of water that had been so hard to push into Molly's hands was now being shoved back at me. Her face flushed red. Clearly, within just 2 minutes, Molly had already taken 99 steps back and was ready to give up entirely. Seeing that I was about to push her further, she hastily told a lie and quickly stood up. I drank too much water. I need to use the restroom. But the next second, her wrist was suddenly gripped by a scorching palm. She turned her head in panic. That bold streak of red filled her entire field of vision. Their gazes met, sparking flames, only to simultaneously avert in the next second. Stumbling back from the force, she collapsed into her seat, not daring to raise her head. Philip knelt before her, his other hand resting on the chair's back, cutting off any escape route. Her tense fingertips still didn't loosen, as if even her breath had begun to freeze. The young man's face flushed red with heat as he aimed the small fan he just picked up at her. His gaze deep and heavy. He whispered to her, "Are you hot?" A refreshing cool breeze lifted the stray hairs by her ears. The summer heat was swept away in an instant. She looked up in a daze, meeting that gaze burning with passion and sincerity. While she hesitated whether to take a step forward, the young man had already surpassed everyone else, taking 101 steps ahead. He stood before her under the gaze of all. At this moment, what overwhelmed her was the deafening sound of her own heartbeat. To make space for them, I instinctively moved to the side of the side. Suddenly, a tall shadow fell before me. I shifted my legs slightly to clear the aisle, but the person remained motionless. I looked up in confusion, meeting Ryan's glistening dark eyes. His pale skin was flushed, beads of sweat gathering along his sharp jawline, with thick, long eyelashes casting shadows downward. The soaked jersey clung to his lean muscles, outlining a firm and powerful waist, a stark contrast to his usual icy demeanor. So handsome. No, I can't be bewitched. I put on a stern face again. "Where's the water?" he asked abruptly. I gave him a strange look. Of course I gave it to my brother. "What about mine?" He pressed his lips together and asked again. His voice carried a hint of stubbornness that was hard to detect, tinged with a sense of grievance and accusation. I guiltily rubbed my nose. "You didn't say you wanted any." As I spoke, his gaze had already landed on my pink water bottle filled with juice. I immediately shielded it and warned, "It's orange juice inside." He hated orange juice the most. Yet the next second, he bent down close to me, a precarious bead of sweat trickling down his Adam's apple. His long fingers slid along my palm, grasped the cup, and snatched it away. I didn't have time to stop him. With swift precision, he twisted off the bottle cap, tilted his head back, and downed my orange juice in just 3 seconds, leaving not a single drop behind. I was stunned, immediately bristling with anger. "Ryan, you're dead. That was mine. I already drank from it." Got it." He showed no reaction whatsoever, even curling the corner of his lips slightly. "Wait till I finish this game. I'll buy you a new one later." What? Isn't this person a germaphobe? Molly was going back to her hometown for the weekend, and Philip also disappeared for 2 days. When Monday came, Molly was wearing long sleeves and pants. She even had a mask and hat on, with only her big, doe-like eyes, still wet, visible. "Why are you all bundled up like this?" I sat down at the desk in front of her, propping my chin in my hand as I studied her. "Caught a cold by accident." Her voice was muffled by the mask. Her head bowed low, reluctant to meet my gaze. Her pale fingers gripped the pen tightly, writing out the problem-solving steps on the test paper one character at a time. "Just as usual. But you don't need to wear long sleeves. It's so hot." Noticing the sweat-dampened strands of hair on her forehead, I got up and brought Ryan a small fan to her desk. Yet she still declined. "No need." As her slender wrist lifted, I suddenly noticed the band-aid stuck to her wrist bone. What happened here? I grasped her wrist, about to push up the sleeve to look. She struggled forcefully to break free, hiding that section of her wrist even deeper, urgently saying, "It's nothing. Just a scrape." "Is that so?" Seeing her resistance, I could only let go of my urge to probe further and instead asked with concern, "Did you apply any medicine?" "I did." Her eyes faintly glistening as she looked at me, sincerely and softly adding, "Thank you, Naomi." That evening, I asked Philip about it. He clearly knew something, but wasn't willing to share too much with me. There are things she doesn't want others to know, and pressing too much will only make her feel worse. This was Philip's first time speaking so seriously about this matter with me. Give her some time. She'll handle it. I still couldn't rest easy. What if similar things happen again? I already saw the wounds on her wrist. No, nothing like this will ever happen again. His gaze was steady, his tone resolute. It seems like since that incident, their relationship started to make new progress. Not only did they eat and take walks together every day, but they also made plans to study together at the library. Sometimes I still really admire Philip. The cafeteria food is so terrible, yet he managed to eat it for a whole month. Occasionally on campus, I would bump into the two of them from time to time. Their interactions were still quite awkward. When walking side by side, the distance between them could easily fit someone like me. The slightest physical contact would make one blush and the other's ears turn red. The conversation was also very quiet. I'm even anxious about their progress. Not only that, but now Philip is coming home later and later. Usually, it's only after 10 p.m. that I hear the sound of him opening the door. I pointed at him and asked what mischief he'd been up to. He didn't want to tell me at first, but couldn't stand my persistent malicious speculations. Finally, he had no choice but to confess helplessly. Working at a restaurant. I was shocked. You, Philip, you're working. Our Xing family isn't that poor, is it? Seeing my disbelief, he had to explain more clearly. Molly works at a restaurant in the night market, where the crowd is more diverse, so I'd feel more at ease keeping an eye on her there. Why does she need to work? Isn't the scholarship enough to cover tuition? I wondered. After all, our school has many rich second-generation students who donate a lot of money. Just the scholarship alone amounts to 100,000 yuan a year. Philip explained. She has many expenses. Then why don't you help her? What about your savings? Philip also helplessly said. She doesn't want to use my money. Oh well, there's nothing that can be done about it. Gazing at the dazzling chandelier on the ceiling, I suddenly asked again, "Bro, when will you two officially get together? The villa is just too empty. Our parents passed away early, and grandfather was always busy with company affairs. The usually empty villa only had the two of us siblings. If only Molly could move in." He paused slightly, his ears suddenly turning red. "No rush. Take your time." The barrage of comments continued to mock daily, saying things that were similar yet not quite the same. What Ryan is the world's ordained male lead. The female lead will definitely end up with him. Disrupting the romantic plotline never ends well, and supporting characters can never escape their doomed fate no matter what. I got tired of seeing it, and so I started disliking Ryan too. Before, it was me who bombarded Ryan with messages every day. Now, it's Ryan who bombards me every day. Good morning. Good night. Have you eaten? Are you asleep? Want some milk tea? Wanna hang out? Now every day when I open my eyes, it's his handsome yet cold face. Every time I just sit down with the test paper next to Molly, before I even get a chance to ask, he pulls me over to his seat. Ask me. The final year of high school was gradually coming to an end. I should have been focusing more on my studies, but Molly was growing increasingly restless, often distracted during class and unable to focus during tests. She would often stare blankly at the exam papers in front of her, occasionally shedding tears without warning, as if something was weighing on her mind. In the final mock exam, Her grades plummeted dramatically. But when I asked, she just forced a smile and said it was nothing. That she'd been too tired lately. Yet her fingertips clutching the old-fashioned phone were already red from gripping too hard. My heart ached seeing this. And just as I was about to comfort her, I happened to notice the incoming call on the screen. Mom. She flinched as if burned, quickly turning off the screen. When her eyes met mine, she seemed about to say something to cover it up. Then, a sudden weight on her shoulder. I bent down and hugged her tightly, holding her head, tears streaming as I coaxed. Tell me. Okay. Molly, tell me what's really going on with you. What could have possibly tormented someone so resilient and unyielding to such an extent? What was it that left you utterly defenseless, forcing you to throw away your future? The body in his arms stiffened for a moment, then began to tremble violently. The carefully maintained facade of calm finally crumbled at this moment. She clung to me tightly, her shoulders shaking violently. The suppressed sobs grew uncontrollably louder. She burst into tears. A restless and fervent afternoon. Those painful emotions found a brief release. But in the end, she still chose not to tell me the truth. Even as tears still streamed down her own face, she reached up to wipe away my tears. Her delicate fingers brushed against the side of my face. She forced a smile at me, word by word. It sounded like a promise, yet also like a farewell. Believe me, this time, I will definitely do better. Those ambiguous statements became increasingly clear as the college entrance exam approached. On June 10th, Philip took me and Ryan to Molly's small rented apartment to celebrate her birthday. She was wearing a white dress that day, which was a rare sight. The faded cotton dress had a vintage feel to it, with uneven stitching. Although it didn't look new, under the dim light, it still suits her perfectly. Pure, clean, and beautiful, like the white moonlight on the horizon. After the cake was brought out, she gave us a long-missed smile. As the birthday song played, in the flickering candlelight, she gazed at us with tears in her eyes and a smile on her face. Like an omen of parting, I suddenly felt a pang in my heart. At the moment the candle was blown out, she clasped her hands in prayer, bowing her head with utmost devotion, making her 18th birthday wish. It wasn't a wish for success in the college entrance exams, a bright future, or smooth sailing in the years to come. With tears streaming down her face, she said, I hope my friends stay healthy and safe, living to 100 years. Philip prepared a Lamy fountain pen as the gift. He's always thorough in his actions, knowing overly expensive items would burden Molly, so he chose the most practical gift instead. It looked somewhat familiar to me. Then suddenly the power went out at home, plunging the room into darkness. Molly asked me and Ryan to go buy some candles. Before heading out, she suddenly walked over, stood on tiptoe, and hugged me tightly. A hug so forceful it felt like she was trying to etch me into her memory. She whispered in my ear, Thank you, Naomi. Not only did Ryan and I buy candles, but we also got her a new white dress. But when we returned with our arms full of shopping bags, we found the entire house covered in blood. Molly's parents were frozen in shock. The sharp knife had been thrown to the floor. They just came for money. But now, it's turned into a matter of life and death. Philip lay not far away, his neck broken at a grotesque angle, a large pool of blood spreading from his head. Tears welled up in my eyes as I trembled and rushed over. Brother, brother. But no matter how much I shook him, the person on the ground showed no sign of consciousness. Ryan picked up the blood-stained knife. At that very moment, Molly suddenly rushed over and collided with the blade. Thud. The knife tip pierced through the heart. Her fingers clenched desperately around the blade, preventing Ryan from pulling it free, blood dripping between her fingers. Yet she still felt it wasn't enough, her eyes pleading with him to drive the blade deeper. Molly, Molly. Ryan caught her collapsing form. Though her pupils contracted sharply from the pain, she forcibly swallowed back her scream. A smile curved at the corners of the lips, eyes gazing at Ryan, weakly forming the words with the mouth. I'm sorry. The moment of falling, Time seemed to stretch infinitely, then cruelly compress. She saw her father standing 3 steps away, clutching a blood-stained liquor bottle, his murky pupils reflecting her collapsing figure. For 18 years, those eyes had held only 2 things: a son cherished as his very lifeblood, and the scholarship money she sent home. And now, at this very moment, those dead fish-like eyes finally cracked open a slit. As the ever-stern man stumbled and knelt in the pool of her blood, tears fell for her for the first time. She recalled so many things. Yet it also felt like she had forgotten so many things. She remembered how her mother had pinned her down in the yard to shave off the long hair she had painstakingly grown. She remembered the warm, affectionate love letter in the hallway, the unrestrained and ambiguous teasing from the boys and girls, recalling the dim kerosene lamp, the textbooks torn to shreds by her father, and the relentless stream of worthless burden hurled as insults, recalling the fiery and sincere gaze of the boy on the basketball court, the meat he pushed onto her lunch tray, and the first birthday gift she received in 18 years, recalling the stinging slap from her mother, the humiliation and despair of being dragged out of school by her father, and the dignity utterly crushed by her family, and also recalling, in the afternoons of the past, Philip's warm embrace that she couldn't help but cling to, Naomi's unhesitating defense after she was bullied, and that birthday cake specially prepared just for her. 2 utterly distinct memories intertwine, like shards of blood-stained glass, compelling her to willingly, like a moth to flame, step into darkness time and again, 49 times. Each cycle ends with her suicide, only to begin anew, until the 49th time, just like every time before. Warm blood still splashed onto her cheek. This scene was all too familiar to her. Every step was identical to the previous 48 times. His presence, his illumination, his shelter, his unwavering resolve. He spent all his money to help her sever ties with the past, yet failed to satisfy her greedy parents. In the end, on her 18th birthday, he died in a pool of blood to protect her. She bit her tongue so hard it bled to keep from crying out. He couldn't escape the fate of death, falling before her time and time again, unless the identity constraints are broken, and the story is rewritten. This was something she learned from the barrage of comments. As long as one of the main characters kills the other, proving there is not even a trace of affection between them, the fate of everyone can be rewritten. So, the 49th reincarnation. She chose to sacrifice herself, but she never thought. So this is how much it hurts when a knife pierces the heart. Philip actually endured this pain so many times. I trembled as I threw myself forward. My palm couldn't stem the bleeding hole in my chest, and warm blood streamed through my fingers. My voice shook violently, tears tumbling out uncontrollably. Molly, Molly. She looked at me, her face covered in blood. Yet she still reached out with effort to wipe the tears from the corner of my eye. Her blood-stained lips moved ever so slightly, struggling to form a comforting smile. With almost all her strength spent, she curved into a smile and told me, "Naomi, your brother will definitely come back to life." Death enveloped her like the tide. In a daze, she heard the system notification sound. The protagonist's romantic plotline has collapsed, preparing to restart and correct the world. The barrage of comments was almost too fast for her to read clearly. Oh my God. I just looked away for a moment. How did the female lead die? Damn. It seems the male lead killed her. So bloody. Holy shit. Why isn't the male lead being replaced? A pop-up prompted me to exit, probably to restart the storyline. Great. She succeeded. The last moment of blurred consciousness. She remembered again that morning with the blazing sunlight. That warm pink love letter. Philip, you coward. She thought. If there's still a chance. She must gather the courage to confess her feelings to him once. On the hillside of her hometown, buckwheat flowers sway in the wind across the mountains and fields. Slender yet unyielding stems grow from the barren soil. At her expense, all who love her, and all whom she loves, will no longer be at the mercy of fate. just as she wished on her 18th birthday. Good health and a long life. End of main text. Epilogue. Molly's perspective. Her consciousness remained hazy for an unknown length of time. Finally, she opened her eyes to the darkness, bright sunlight, the test paper in her hand, and the clean school uniform she was wearing. It all feels like it was just yesterday. The classmate next to her nudged her, saying someone from the class was looking for her and told her to hurry back. The moment she stepped out of the office, the warm sunlight fell on her, making it feel like a long time since she last felt it. Suddenly, someone rushed over and hugged her tightly. Woo-woo. Molly. Woo-woo. You scared me to death. Woo-woo. The younger sisters behind me followed closely, completely blocking her path. Looking up, a young man in a red jersey came into view. He almost ran to see her, his dark hair flying in front of his forehead. Panting heavily, holding a pink love letter in his hand. Before she could even react, the girl in his arms had already let go of her. Then, a scorching breath leaned down, his firm chest encircling her in an embrace. The young man's voice was hoarse and deep, choked with emotion, his body radiating overwhelming longing. Molly. The barrage of comments on the screen was going wild. Holy moly. He hugged her right away. Those who get it are already shipping them. A reunion after long separation. Their height difference is so perfect. I'm new here. Just asking. What's this story about? Is it good? From the description, it's a campus romance with mutual secret crushes. So visually pleasing. What's the female lead's name? Molly. Wow. What about the male lead? Another comment scrolls by. Philip. Molly and Philip. Her tears fell silently. Then suddenly she laughed. This is a brand new story that belongs to her and Philip. The end.